Kamala Harris's entire political career has been nothing more than a scam. Now, it has been well documented that this is an individual who made her way to the so-called top by giving top. These, I guess, can be allegedlys, right? Because we have seen her history and the people she associated with and the reason to which she associated with these individuals. The likes of the Willie Browns, who was an individual that was, I guess, a powerful man in San Francisco, the most powerful man in San Francisco, who just happened to have Kamala right there on his arm. Now, her political career starts there, and we see this, I guess, some would say a progression into one of the highest seats in the entirety of the land, not just little old San Francisco, but the entire United States. She becomes vice president. And I don't know if many of y'all remember this, but the reason they selected her, and this is public information, right, is because they were looking for a woman, number one, and better off a woman of color. You know, the good old DEI qualifications that the Democrats love. They can't do without it, right? If they're not filling a quota, they ain't with it. They're not down. So here we find ourselves with a vice president that basically is not only underqualified, but was seemingly unknown before this point. As a matter of fact, when she was thrown into the spotlight in 2024 to run for president, we were made to pretend as if this was somebody who was such a qualified candidate, somebody who had just always been in the run, right? Because, you know, you always have these people that are presented to you, the likes of a Hillary Clinton, even people who aren't necessarily that politicized, but still like a Michelle Obama, right? They're always presented, they're always marketed to you as somebody who could be in this presidential seat. Kamala was not one of those folks. She was not one of those. Matter of fact, in 2020, when she ran the first time and was completely mollywopped in that debate with Tulsi Gabbard. She was the first one kicked off the damn island. She didn't make it through the first round. All right. We're talking about the first round here. She didn't make it through the series of debates necessary to even get to finally be nominated as the Democratic candidate. And yet, when the whole world was exposed to what we were gaslit out of already knowing, which we knew because we could see and we could hear for ourselves, which was that Joe Carcass Biden was indeed a walking corpse, was indeed out of his mind, literally. Once the entire world was exposed to that during that debate with DJT, aka Donald Django Trump, because he's a free man, after that moment, we were all of a sudden forced into this idea that Kamala was somehow this qualified candidate, somebody who we needed to put our trust and belief in. And all of a sudden, overnight, you were seeing, you know, placards in front of people's houses. I mean, in real life, there were very few of them, but nevertheless, there were people, right? They were selling merch. Now, all of a sudden, you had, you know, Harris walls. You had white dudes for Harris. I mean, it was insane. It was insane. People actually supporting somebody who in any other context they would not have given a single damn about. As a matter of fact, they actually would have been very turned off by. And this really showed me the power of a good scam. Now, I'm somebody who I love me a cult documentary. I love to get into the inner workings, not just of the mind of the cult leader, but more so the individuals who fall into a cult. I don't care if it's an MLM. I don't care if it's, you know, a religious sect. I don't care if it's, you know, new age, if it's personal development, whatever it is. I love to get in the mindset of how does an individual go from sometimes being a rational thinking person into falling into this cult of ideology. And the deeper I've gone down this rabbit hole, the more I've come to accept that most humans, now I'm not saying it's 80, 90%, perhaps, but let's just say 51% plus of humans, if you got them in a room and repeated a message over and over and over again, within an hour, you could have them do things that they otherwise would not. And this has been studied by, God, I forget his name. He was on Valuetainment recently, but he is, I guess, an expert in government brainwashing or like government psyops and things of that nature. And he said, if you take the average person, put him in a room for 1 hour, just 1 hour, you can get them to do the most heinous of things. You might be able to even get that person to unalive somebody. If y'all get into the MK Ultra and things of that nature, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So just imagine being able to get a message repeated time and time again, infinitum amount of times. These people who had these Kamala ads being run to them. So it was $2.5 billion worth of fundraising dollars, right? $2.5 billion, and they still went at least 20 million in debt. That's just what we know of. That's the numbers we have heard that have been publicized. So you spent more than $2.5 billion. At least we know that $1 billion of that, or 960 something million, was spent on just advertising alone, just ads. There were weeks when they were spending more than $1 million a day in advertising in just like a specific region in the country. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever been on YouTube or something like that and you see an ad that continues to pop up. Yeah, most of those ads are not being run at $1 million a day. Now, just imagine if you had a message run $1 million. You would be seeing the same ad or same series of ads every single time an ad popped up. Every time an ad pops up, it is that damn ad. It is Ty Lopez here in my garage. You understand me? It is Kamala Harris going on about God knows what, right? That's the level of conditioning, of social engineering that was taking place, that took literally an unknown and unliked person. She was already one of the least popular politicians in a long time, which is saying a lot, especially being next to a guy like Joe Carcas Biden. She was one of the least liked politicians, even more unliked than him. And here we have 70 million Americans end up voting for her. Now, we all know that they voted against Trump because she ran on nothing. She ran on air pie. But there was still enough of there was a powerful machine that pushed enough of a message. Oh, and also the quote unquote free advertising that came from the mass media machine, right? A majority of which is very far left leaning. She had all of that push. And overnight, people became quote unquote fans of this woman. Fans. Wearing them. I mean, to this day, I still see a video every now and then of somebody wearing one of those dumbass hats. I'm like, you never even knew how to pronounce this person's name all the way. You questioned what she even looked like before this presidential race because she was so scarcely exposed to the public on purpose. And we all know why. The ones who know. You know why they didn't want to show her on TV too much. You know why they didn't want to interview her or have her speaking. Because then she would be the type of person who would lose an election that was handed to her. Kamala Harris is a scam. Skamala is more accurate. Somebody didn't like that in my comments one time. They were, I guess, the support of my channel, but they said, oh, it would maybe help if you just, didn't call names. And I said, with all due respect, that's exactly what she is. So I'm going to call her what she is. Scam and Kamala. It just makes it that much easier. Skamala. It is a scam. She is a scam. She is a ruse. In the same way, a lot of the Black Lives Matter, I'm not going to say everybody was a scammer in that movement, but most. Most of what it is scamming. Even if it's not scamming money, it's scamming attention. It's using this mechanism or this vehicle in order to get something that you want out of people in a manipulative way. That's a scam. You're scamming people out of it. But yes, we have records that the leaders were indeed scamming people out of money and using that money to buy, mansions in Los Angeles that some of them got burnt down during the fires that happened. Very unfortunate. And, it's saddening for everybody down there. Wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But lo and behold, this is a reality. These are the facts, as they would say. These are the facts. And the reason I continue to harp on Kamala, even though her time is up, because her time's not really up. They're still trying to push her as the governor of California. They're still trying to push her as a possible 2028 candidate. They're still trying to create a political space for her. I mean, they were even trying to push out Judge Sotomayor recently, allegedly, in order to get Kamala into that position. So this woman who literally had a disaster of a campaign should now be a Supreme Court justice, which in some cases has even more power than the executive branch. This is the person that we are hanging our hat on, right? But it's simple. It's because she is a puppet. She's a propagandist. She is a part of the machine, and she is easy to control, right? Again, she got here in a compromised way. So the moral aspect is already gone. She will say whatever is necessary to say in order to get the sway. That's a bar. Kamala Harris is a scam, and she will forever be one until she repents, until she lets go of all her wicked ways. Until then, she's exactly what she is, just like Gavin Newsom and the rest of these individuals. And this is coming from a Cali resident, dude who grew up in the Bay Area, a guy who spent a lot of time in the Yay, a whole lot of time, close to 2 decades in the Yay area, man. San Francisco used to be a place you could visit with your family. Now it's not a place that you could go with 7 pit bulls. You would still feel as if you were in danger. It has become a cesspool. It has become season 7 of The Living Dead is what it's become. I don't even know if there's a season 7, but if there ain't, then that's what it looks like. It looks like San Francisco. SF is Kamala Harris. It is Gavin Newsom. That's what they are. Nancy Pelosi. That's literally, I think she's born bred over there. That's when you see, some people like talk about like Babylon or Sodom and Gomorrah. That is it. That's it right there. Debauchery. It's not just about the alphabetness of it, but it's the debauchery. It's the way in which people have lost their level of morality completely. It's almost like a blank slate morality. That's why it was easy to have a Woodstock and, free love, man. That's why so many of these things start there. Because though there can be a level of consciousness, there's also a level of, I guess, communism in essence, right? That mentality is pervasive in those spaces. And when you have the likes of a Kamala, that's exactly what you get. That's exactly what they stand on. That's exactly who they are. It's a scam. These are purebred crony politicians. They are not leaders. They are not public servants. They are politicians, or as Billy Carson, what do we say? Politricks is what he called it. They are politricking as they're politicking. And their time is ticking because it's damn near over.
I used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's night. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3, 6, 5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising. They see your light shine, that's why they so frustrated. Even the sofa in Nova Scotia will win the bagels. I couldn't get them ease on the grease, why they burning up? Money growing trees, feel a breeze, still you showing love. I can dig your energy. Even in the darks, I know you got that inner peace. You can fill a cup again, your limit is infinity. You manifest a life with all the fixings and amenities. This is more or less a house sitting. A sitting on a house like Snoopy. A teacher, no dog, new tricks, that's bliss. Cause there ain't no Charlie Browns in this vicinity. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light.